This is Kanzenshuu, the podcast, episode 477 for the week of September 8th, 2019. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Kanzenshuu, the podcast, an extension of the all-encompassing Dragon Ball fan site, Kanzenshuu. We cover anything and everything Dragon Ball in hopes of enlightening and a little bit of entertaining, flying solo for the non-topic portion. It's me, it's Mike, Vegito EX. Welcome back to the show. Always great to have you here. What do we got on tap for you this episode? Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of a news recap, a couple little things I want to just dip my toes into and chat about a little bit, and then joining us, returning back to the show, Joe, JRP, one of our Wiki editors, contributors, going to chat with me a little bit about some of the hidden Easter eggs in Dragon Ball Z Movie 8. Yes, the original Broly film. Going to talk about some of the stuff that you may see, may not see, depending on the edition of the film you are viewing, and then some other Easter eggs and explanations stuff in that film. So we are indeed continuing the series of whatever it's called, checking in with the Wiki articles, new things we're learning, or not necessarily learn, but at least getting down on metaphorical paper, I guess you'd say. We just love sharing information, so as we learn things, we in turn share it with you. That is what is on tap for this episode. So without any further ado, let's get on into it. So does anyone remember Jump Force? Yeah, me neither. So I played a lot of Jump Force for that first check-in we did with Kuririn. I think I tried to play it a little more. I forget where exactly I left off in the story mode, but man, that thing was a disaster of a game, so I never got back to it. I don't think it's worthy of even giving a full review. That's kind of my review on the game, but Jump Force has gotten some updates over the last couple of weeks, last couple of months. Basically, all the data mining about that game was accurate, and even Bandai Namco themselves got out ahead and announced pretty much the entire slew of DLC characters that would be coming to it. We knew, before we knew, that Boo, fat, good Mr. Boo, if you will, would be a playable character in Jump Force, and he has since come out. Bandai Namco also announced that Kane and Galena, I guess depending on how you're pronouncing it, would be playable in the game. Some of the antagonists in that game. So here's the interesting thing. Here's a tweet from Bandai Namco EU, October 22nd, 2018. Kane, the villain designed by Akira Toriyama exclusively for Jump Force, is confirmed as a playable character. Hashtag Unite to Fight, hashtag Jump Force. Well, as anyone who played the game realized at launch, no, those characters were not playable in the actual game outside of the PC version and modding the PC version, which shipped with its own project file, which made modding for that game probably exponentially easier than it had any right to be. But on the other editions, the normal vanilla editions, not so much playable. Back in July, they actually were made playable. And then I never got this far, so I just watched and read ahead, and I won't truly spoil anything for you, but I'll just say the true final boss of Jump Force is also coming playable to Jump Force. So that game's still getting those updates out there. Yeah. Anyway, if you don't know, Jump Force, a crossover fighting game developed for the 50th anniversary of Jump, came out on the PS4, the Xbox One, and PC via Steam. Sure is a Spike video game, that's for damn sure. Another video game news, Bonyu, huh? That sure is a new character coming to Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, formerly known as Game Project Z Action RPG. We got the download on Bonyu here from the last issue of V-Jump, even though we're kind of like, well, we're right in between V-Jump issues right now. This came in the October 2019 issue of the magazine. Bonyu, as designed by Akira Toriyama, will make an appearance in a short subquest in the upcoming game. Here's a little translation of the blurb there. Bonyu, from the same planet as Geese, was once part of the Ginyu Special Squad, but left because she hated that pose? Wait for more info. The Ginyu Special Forces' unknown past will come to light. So the character's name, Bonyu, likely comes from Bonyu, which means breast milk. It's read the exact same way. It's a long U and an elongated U sound at the end of the Bonyu. This name pun would make sense if you kind of go along with the dairy side of things from the Ginyu. Also things that can be stored in a refrigerator, as we know that Toriyama, and that's how he developed the ongoing name pun series for all of the Frieza related characters. So we get a new character, a new Toriyama designed character coming in Kakarot. What a weird name for a video game. That's a story for another day, I guess. That is coming sometime in early 2020. Speaking of Bandai Namco, we got the Q1 fiscal 2020 figures from them a little while ago. You can read all the nitty gritty on the website. We've been covering the financial stuff from Bandai Namco for probably like a decade at this point, all the quarterly and the annual figures. Basically, Dragon Ball continues to do well. It's actually meeting their expectations, which is good. They seem to be projecting exactly where they think it's going to be, and it's hitting that. It is a runaway success. It's weird to say that Dragon Ball is a runaway success because, like, of course it is. But, I mean, you want to talk about a decade ago when we were talking about Dragon Ball Kai and what the merchandise sales were at that point. It's crazy to look at the comparison of numbers here. Just to kind of put things in perspective, at least for this first quarter of fiscal 2020, Dragon Ball beat out the number 2 franchise, the Mobile Suit Gundam franchise, by just over 10 billion yen for Bandai Namco specifically. So, and puts things in perspective. Again, if you want to read all the details, they are there on our website. Other than that, it's actually been relatively quiet on the Japanese side of Dragon Ball fandom and production recently. It's kind of nice. It's allowed us to catch up on some other things that we've been wanting to do and catch up on, and just, heads down, plug away, working on things. So that's your little news recap. With that being said, let's head on over to our topic for the episode, chatting up with Joe about hidden items and Easter eggs in Dragon Ball Z Movie 8. I will catch you on the flip side. We'll wrap up the show. Joining me once again to do our wiki check-in, but also the main topic portion of the episode, because I don't know, some of the stuff, it's just so cool that I want to spend as much time as possible. Joe, Mr. JRP, hello, welcome back.
Hello, happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I love, again, I think I mentioned this probably when you were on and when Stacy was on. A lot of this is I get to sit back and watch it all unfold, and it's really exciting. Maybe I'll chime in every once in a while, but it's so much fun as we're all working on the wiki, yes. But we want to share this information, so that's what we're doing. Once again, we're sharing some of the research and the developments, the revelations that we've come to. Some of the stuff may be known, some of it may not, but I love to collect it all in one place. We are going to talk about Dragon Ball Z Movie 8, and not for any of the reasons that anyone might expect that we're going to talk about Dragon Ball Z Movie 8 right now. Easter eggs and hidden notes and all sorts of just amazing little tidbits for Movie 8.
Before we get too far, I just want to tell you that although I'm the one sitting here talking to you, this is really a tremendous group collaboration effort.
Yeah, sure.
Everyone is sort of pitching together here, and I couldn't have done these translations. I couldn't have done all this research, but I'm the one that's talking to you because I'm the one that's free on a Sunday morning. So I'm so glad to be here.
Well, how'd you get started? Were you doing the summary for Movie 8 and it's just as you're going, you're like, hey, I noticed this. Hey, I noticed this.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And actually, this is kind of reflecting a difference in my fandom in a way, that how it's changed and matured right over the last 20 years.
Sure.
When I was a kid watching this on Toonami, it was about, oh my goodness, there's some awesome fights and some awesome techniques. And when I watched Movie 8 when I was younger, I really focused on, the battle scene, right? It's 45 minutes of people getting smashed into walls. I mean, who wouldn't like that?
Exactly.
But as I've gotten a little bit older, I guess I've discovered that the real joy for me in Movie 8 is just the amazing first 30 minutes that really does a slice of life so well.
Yeah.
And that really peppers that slice of life with some amazing stuff. So as I've done each of these, I guess, recaps, right? And a lot of what I've been doing right now is going through and kind of recapping things and using that as an opportunity to find stuff that I might have missed or that other people might have missed as well and kind of document it. And we got to Movie 8 and wow, it just shocked us with how much stuff, amazing stuff that we found as we were going through.
What I find really interesting about this, you want to take it back 20 years or so. My first experience with movie 8 was fan subbed on VHS. It was one of the worser quality fan subs that I had. It was actually missing the first minute or so of the movie. I don't know who I got this from. I got a bad deal out of my movie 8. So it was the original cropped version, fan subbed, multi-generational. So everything was very warbly on screen. The subs were even difficult to read at that point. So a lot of what we're going to be talking about today is stuff that was obfuscated by the old fan sub. And even as we got to later DVD releases, I think we're actually going to talk about some of the different home releases because, of course, we had Funimation's home video release, the original single disc release. I'm sure it came out on VHS as well. That was full frame. And then when we got the Dragon Box, we got a much nicer transfer of the film. Movie 8 in particular looks great. Except it was cropped back to the original theatrical presentation. And then later we got an open matte 4:3 release in France, which was also really good looking, but then gave us this expanded view on it. So there are a couple items that all of those kind of like tied together to help us get really, not to make a joke, but the full picture here of it. So you just tell me, where do you want to start with talking about these movie 8 tidbits?
So many places we could go, but why don't we start where you just went, right? Which is this, the stuff where we, obviously we had a lot of text on screen, right? And a lot more of that text was revealed once the 4:3 versions were able to be analyzed. Some of the text that you can see as you are zooming around on this much larger, beautiful picture is really just saying, oh, these animators put so much in. The first thing that I love, and I can't take credit for this, is that there's a little scene where you have a picture up on the screen of Gohan's school application. So I'm not sure if this is at all clear in the English version. I haven't watched the English version in forever, but if you read the signs, which I can't read and which aren't in the Simmons subtitles, right, you would discover that Gohan was or Chi-Chi and Goku, rather, were applying Gohan for a spring break special short course at the so-called, quote, most famous school. And they are, in fact, applying for the, quote, famous seminar. So that's kind of awesome stuff. Obvious if you know Japanese, not obvious if you happen to be me. But at one point, you can see the application that Chi-Chi has put together for him for this most famous seminar at this most famous school. And, it really took folks like Sailor Spaz that looked at this and said, oh, wow, right now that we can see the whole thing, it's really done very well in Chi-Chi's dialect, right? She is applying Gohan for a very prestigious school, right, which you would expect and require a very high register of speaking and writing in order to come across as being part of that, right? It's like you're applying to Harvard or something. And she's writing like a country hick. And that doesn't come across at all in the English. I don't know. It doesn't come across at all in the English subtitles, at least. And certainly isn't something that I would have caught on to. And you can't really see this very well if you're just working off the widescreen because so much of the application text is actually cropped away. Yeah. That really adds to the flavor. I
do want to read Chi-Chi's remarks here about Gohan. Gohan is smart, handsome, plus strong, and he works out too. There's no other kid as good as him. He'll definitely become a great scholar. And I'm almost saying that too properly because, again, like you said, it's in Chi-Chi's hick talk.
Yeah, this is one of those things where I'm positive that if I, had the full Japanese experience here, that I would understand so much more of those references as it relates to the way that Goku and Chi-Chi talk. So much of the way I still have their voices in my head come from the old Funimation dubs, right? So even though I'm watching the Japanese and I'm only engaging with them in Japanese, I haven't seen an English language Dragon Ball presentation in probably 10 years. But somehow still, I don't have that same hickish impression of them that I think I should have. This is one of the challenges of watching it in a foreign language, right?
Right. Well, you're doing that. You're also doing a million things as you're watching it right now. I mean, this is a very different kind of viewing habit from what you talked about earlier, where you're younger and you're just taking in everything that's on screen. This is, you're watching it, but you're also analyzing it and trying to document it all at the same time, which is very, very weird.
So to add on to this with the 4:3, the second thing that really struck out there is actually it's a joke that actually comes in the dialogue first, which is that Chi-Chi is kind of coaching Goku on what to say, right? Here, you're coming to this interview. Here's the things that you're going to say in order to be absolutely sure that Gohan is going to get this short seminar, whatever he's being applied for. So she tells Goku that his 3 favorite words are supposed to be friendship, effort, and victory. And those are awesome words. And we'll talk about those, I think, in a second. But it turns out that there's actually a poster in the interview room where she's going and having this interview that you can see. And that's a scene where Goku isn't really paying attention because he's being called away to deal with this little Broly problem. But you can see in the background of that scene, but only in the 4-3, that there's actually a poster there that says friendship, effort, and victory. So her telling Goku to say that is, maybe it's the motto of the school. But more importantly, it's I think one of the mottos of Jump, and I think you can probably explain that better than I.
Yeah, it's just the Super Shonen thing. I actually don't know off the top of my head when it came into play, if it was from the very beginning of Jump. But yeah, friendship, effort, victory. That's like the Jump motto, the Super Shonen kind of ethos, if you will. It comes into play with all of their publications. It was in like Jump Superstars and Jump Ultimate Stars. That's Jump right there. I mean, it's as iconic to the Jump brand as anything else is.
Again, I'm completely ignorant of it, but I will tell you that when I saw those words up there for the first time and had this explained to me, it's like Dragon Ball makes so much more sense, and One Piece and everything else. Like, wow, really, that's you've pulled away the curtain there for me for a second, and now, wow, that everything makes sense. The thing about this seminar that I like, and actually it's a bit of a brick joke that I don't think comes across very well, but so they're spending the entire opening of this film interviewing for this spring break seminar. Of course, Goku gets called away, and it's never revealed, I think, whether Chi-Chi actually gets Gohan into the placement or not. Maybe, because Goku's a magician or whatever the line was. Unless I've misremembered, and that came from DBZ Abridged. That would be kind of embarrassing. But the point is that they interview for this, and then at the very end, Goku and Gohan sort of come back to Earth and meet Chi-Chi, while she's, I think, drying clothes or something, and she screams at him that spring break is already over. And I love that, because it doesn't matter whether he got into that seminar or not. They've been, mucking around on New Planet Vegeta or wherever they've been hanging out, with all these Shimoshins for however long spring break was. And now it doesn't matter. And all of her efforts are for naught. And that's it's such a nice little brick joke. Very easy to miss, but definitely kind of assembling this all together. It's like, wow, that's funny. I'll take it.
Well, I think that's going to tie in with some of your timeline stuff for this film as well, right?
Yeah, the timeline for the film is kind of, well, it's not tricky. It's pretty obvious, right? This is a film that takes place in the spring. It aligns kind of nicely, actually, with when the Cell games would be, right? If you could imagine that they never bring up Cell, right? You can see the Hanami party, and if I'm mispronouncing that, please somebody shoot me. But you can see the Hanami party at the beginning. You have all the beautiful cherry blossoms on the trees. It's actually some of the lushest art I can remember in any of the movies. This is an extremely well done movie, just from a technical and art direction standpoint. So not something that you always think about when you're thinking, oh, here's a movie where people smash each other in the mountains. But wow, there's some really good color use and art direction. But so the timeline for this film, it starts in that sort of spring party era, and I'm not from Japan. I'm not an expert in Japanese culture, so I'm not positive when that particular season starts for the various regions of Japan. But I guess the Kanzenshuu like to think, Kanzenshuu 6 likes to put this like right in that Cell Games interregnum, right? To the extent that any of the movies can be placed in a timeline at all, that's where this would be placed. And of course it can't be. They're not in the Super Saiyan form throughout the whole film, et cetera, et cetera. But that actually would have had the movie take place only over 2 days. And I think it's pretty clear from the dialogue that the movie takes place over a longer period of time. Maybe the events of the movie itself on the planet Shimo, or however you want to pronounce it. The new planet Vegeta, which I guess is the sister planet of Shimo or whatever. Those events probably only take a couple of days, but the line at the end where they're coming back and Chi-Chi scolds them because they've been away too long, at least implies that, Goku and Gohan went off and had some fun with their new friends somewhere in an untold story that we'll never know. But yeah, so timeline-wise, I think that's where this falls. I did find it a little interesting. Movie 7 actually takes place in the summer, which can't work with the Cell games either. And this movie takes place after movie 7, even though it's Don't try to put movies in timelines.
Right. Well, maybe it's two different timelines. Like movie 7 happened over in this alternate timeline. Movie 8 happened over in this alternate timeline. When you first get into it, you like to think, oh, maybe movies 1 through 13, they're their own alternate timeline of events. Maybe some of the main villains happened in, but especially when you get into incidents like this, like none of these can reconcile with each other. Never mind the original series. So it's like little pockets of different alternate timelines.
It doesn't work. This is as fruitless as trying to put all of Power Rangers in one timeline, right? Sure. It doesn't work. Don't try. But yet you still have reunion episodes, or in our case, we have movie 13, right? I think that's the one where all the old movie villains showed up, right? So
12, yeah.
12. Oh, I've just now lost my Kanzenshuu card. Man, all right, movie 12. So, we can pretend that all these things take place in the same universe, however we want. But the fun thing for us as we're writing the wiki is really trying to document these inconsistencies, trying to document where things happen and what's explained in the context of the movie itself. And for me, that is just so much fun. I love being detail oriented.
We should say it's not passing judgment on it. It's simply saying this, which I hope and I think people expect is going to be a big difference about what you read in this place compared to what you may read elsewhere.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. That's the mission that we have with the wiki, right? It's to document and inform. It's not to build a new set of fanon, right? It's very easy. It's extremely easy, and I think we've all kind of fallen for it already. As we're documenting these things, it's just so easy for us to say, oh, well, if we just smooth these two details together, this works. And that's not really our job, right? Our job is to kind of present what's there and what isn't there and to talk about it, not look for ways to make, Haya Dragon make sense in the timeline. No, that's not what we do.
No. Well, it gives us an opportunity to then come talk about it. I've always said this. I love the podcast because that is our chance to editorialize on this kind of stuff. Even though there are articles I've written where all right, well, I'm not going to get into it. I'll just leave the wiki Easter eggs to people to discover later. All right, let's move on. So we've gone from the application with address and Chi-Chi's stuff there to the timeline, which movie 8 can't work with movie 7. Great. Where do we go from here? Well,
there's a lot of places. Now you can look at some of the art. We've spent most of our time piecing apart the first 36 odd minutes of the movie or whatever it happened to be. But there are some things I really like about the later parts of the film as well. There is one scene. So one of the kind of strange things that this movie doesn't have is scouters. There's almost no scouters anywhere in the film, even when they flash back to scenes with King Vegeta, kicking out Paragus, right, where you would expect them all to be wearing scouters. They really aren't present, and it's possible that if I freeze frame somewhere, I'll be proven wrong. But that's what we've been able to find, and yet there is exactly one scene only, where Trunks is kind of looking on in horror as Vegeta has now agreed to go off with. I guess he's going off with with Broly at that point, still in his a little bit meek form, right? Looking for this legendary Super Saiyan, right? And Trunks is looking on in horror, and there in the background are a couple of Saiyans that are wearing scouters, or a couple of, maybe they're obviously not Saiyans. They're some other one of Paragus's force wearing scouters, and they actually do pop up later. Those same designs are shown in some of the background scenes, but they're wearing scouters in there, and we've actually worked out that that's because those specific characters wearing scouters were reused designs from the Bardock special. And that, in fact, I guess they had the scouters in the Bardock special. They drew them there in that one scene with Trunks, and then any other time that they appeared in this movie, they were smart enough to not have the scouters on, I suppose. But it was just a fun little detail that's like, hey, where did those come from? There's so many other things to mention, and I guess part of what we could easily get into is this could become a bullet list. And in fact, I guess on the wiki it's a bullet list.
Right.
The Kuririn sings a Japanese folk song, right? It's Please Give Me Wings. I'm not going to try to pronounce it in Japanese. And it's just amazing that we can actually track down what is he specifically singing? What does it mean? Why is he singing about that? Well, I have no idea. Is he singing well or badly? I don't know.
It was always one of the biggest questions about the movie. Like, oh, is that a real song? What is that?
Well, it is a real song. It's a Japanese folk song. If I had my notes better together, I would tell you exactly what year it was written in, but it was a Japanese folk song that was very popular. I think every school kid knows it. It's generally sung, at least the YouTube videos that I've seen. It's often sung in what comes off to me as a little bit of a warbly way, right? I'm not a musician. I don't understand any of these things. And so we actually have some interesting scenes there where half the characters seem to think that he's singing amazing, and half the characters seem to think that he's terrible. And you have that nice little segment there with Vegeta swearing revenge on him for his act. Revenge that he would have take, I think.
I think part of that is it depends on your analysis of his singing depends on how much you've been drinking in that scene. So I think that's how that works. It's Tsubasa Okudasai, so Please Give Me Wings, 1970.
Oh, see, your skills are amazing.
Yeah, I copied what you wrote on the wiki.
Well, I see how this goes. Actually, the thing I love about that with Vegeta swearing vengeance, and I know it wasn't intended, but it's just so perfect because, of course, we know that, advance forward by about 20 years, and Vegeta's doing karaoke in the Battle of Gods film, and that is finally revenge for what happened in movie 8.
I wish I remembered the exact dialogue because I kind of want to piece together some of the context. Is he swearing revenge? Like, did he already try singing and no one liked his singing? And then the shrimp gets up there and gets all the accolades?
I have watched that scene so many times and I can't work it out. Is he swearing revenge because it's so bad that it's
right? Just the assault on his ears,
killing him, or is he swearing revenge because deep down Vegeta wants to sing karaoke? It's a funny little character moment in a movie that's full of funny little character moments, and there's just so many little things. I'll mention it now because it's not a big moment at all, but this is, up until Dragon Ball Super, the only movie where Trunks uses a Masenko.
Yeah, it's great stuff. There was always a big fan favorite back in the day because we just didn't get we got Trunks interacting with people. I always really loved movie 7's Trunks interactions because he's really out of his element with the group he's with, which is super fun. But here, it's not just that, but he's also fighting alongside them, which, he got to do in the series proper. And this is only a little moment, but it's a good character moment because it shows, oh, right, that was the connection. Yeah, that's a move he would have learned.
I don't know, when I saw that and I said, wait, what's that hand position? And, my little fandom thing just went squee, right? As fandom things tend to, because of course, who doesn't love Trunks? And his relationship with Gohan is something, with the younger Gohan, certainly is something that I don't think the series up until Super really got well, considering all of the pathos and the importance of that we see in the Trunks special.
Sure, yeah.
At the end of the day, just having him use his master's technique in this battle was more character development, I think, in some ways than we see. And that is one of the great things about these movies, is that they really give, I guess they're produced over a longer time, and they really do give an opportunity in some ways for these kind of subtle character things to come out in a way that 22 minutes of fighting, for example, in the Cell games really doesn't.
Yeah. Something I want to bring up here, I love this. There are a lot of littered Dr. Slump moments throughout the entire production here. And this is, I think, worthwhile to note that movie 8 played alongside a Dr. Slump film when it debuted in the 1993 Winter Toei Anime Fair. This is in March 1993. And one of the masks that the Turtle Hermit flips through is, in fact, Arale's face there. So it's a nice little nod to not just Toriyama, but hey, alongside this, you're also watching Dr. Slump.
It is great. And there's so many good references like that throughout the series, of course. But that is like one frame. It is literally nearly impossible to catch her face popping up there. But we were very happy to see it.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing that never saw in my fan sub. Absolutely. Probably picked up when we got Funimation's DVDs and you could start going frame by frame on things. The clarity there is not like the clarity we have now. We do have an HD remaster of the film, so we can get like a really nice close crop on Arale's face there. It's pretty good stuff.
Well, never saw when the fan subs were out, but wouldn't have recognized it had we saw it either.
That's true. At that time, I would not have.
We could talk forever, but I'm still frustrated that we do not have very good English language releases of most of Dr. Slump. So
yeah, well, you buy that first DVD set from Discotech, please.
Oh, the one that's on my shelf. How strange.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny how we all have that one. It'd be great if we could get another one of those.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. Yeah, I got to tell you, the Turtle Hermit's dancing here. This is, I think there is something deeply cultural here that I don't understand, and I wish we had some of our more culturally astute contributors talking about today. But the Turtle Hermit's using a traditional, I guess, hyotoko.
Yeah.
Yeah, hyotoko mask as part of his dance. This is I wish I could explain it well, and in fact, he's even using a fan that is a Japanese flag. Right? They're very playing up the fact that this is a very Japanese cultural experience that he's going through, and his dancing is I think fantastic. I am just amazed, not by his ability to consume alcohol, but by his ability to stay drunk literally for the entire film.
That's true.
Despite it happening over 3 days. But that is real effort.
Living the dream there.
We get so close to him, having like a moment there where he goes up against Broly and then he just jumps into this comedic routine, and it's such a great use for the character. It's very hard to bring the Turtle Hermit into any of these modern episodes as anything other than modern. I mean, it's 20 years old, whatever. Any of these episodes, any of these movies, right, and anything other than a comedic relief. But they really landed his comedic relief in this film, really bringing in Japanese cultural references. This dancing is done. The balancing act that he does in the very beginning of the film as he's like spinning plates and things, all stuff that is exactly in character for someone who is a master at the kame style of martial arts. But really good stuff. Really, really good stuff.
It's also great to see him in a role that's not your sexual assault man. That is your role. That is all you will do in your role. Like, this dude's actually deeper than that. So it's really nice to see him in this role compared to what else we see him as throughout the series.
Yeah, that is unfortunately very true. And I think he's actually pretty above board this episode. I don't think.
Yeah.
Maybe there aren't that many women on New Planet Vegeta, and that's
true.
That's why he's cast into this role. But I'm very glad that he is, because he's a great character and one that just doesn't get enough love, I think, in at least this area of Dragon Ball Z. Obviously in Super, of course, we have him coming back in kind of a big and somewhat unexpected way. But this era, they landed what he could be used for in this film, and they used him very well, and I was very happy to see it. So I've gone through my list. Is there stuff that you wanted to talk about as well?
No, I think those are all the big things. Anytime there's text on screen, I love it. So I'm glad we were able to cover that. Another one we're going to have to go through in the future is Dragon Ball Z Movie 12. One you alluded to earlier, when all the villains escape. We get to see a lot of names and text on screen as Enma Yama is going through a whole bunch of death certificates, I guess you'd say. And I actually, here, a little deep cut. I actually took inspiration from that for an AMV that I made a few years ago. Just as Movie 12 killed off much of the production staff of Dragon Ball, so too did I kill off much of the production staff of Dragon Ball in an AMV. So if you know what to look for, maybe I totally forgot. I made that video.
I look forward to this. So my wikiing right now, I'll explain it to you and anyone that wants to hear, right, is really, I'm working my way through sequentially in original timeline order, right, as they would have originally appeared. And I'm going through and I'm adding all the recaps, adding all the secondary characters, adding all the locations, right? And right now I'm up in approaching the end of the Cell games, getting ready to start looking at movie 9 and starting to get into the Afterlife tournament and that kind of stuff. So it's going to be a little while before I am doing a deep dive personally into movie 12, but I may jump ahead if necessary. But looking at the show in this way and kind of taking it episode by episode, week by week, an exact original timeline, right, has really been illuminating, and it's kind of helped me gain a greater appreciation for the series, which I have to admit, I watched a lot of the series out of order when I was younger.
Yeah, for sure.
Those Funimation DVDs, oh my God, could they possibly release 2 sequential DVDs like in a row. No, they couldn't.
Oh my God. I feel like I'm always saying, you kids don't know how good you have it. You can just buy it in order. Like, even when we were getting DVDs and VHS releases from Funimation, nothing was in order. Like, never mind fan subs. The official company was not releasing things in order when it first started.
Yeah, I got to admit, when I was younger, I had this math. I have too many spreadsheets, I'll admit that, but I had this spreadsheet of like all of the releases as they were coming out, and where I had gaps and which episodes I still needed. And I was trying very hard to complete my collection, but I was trapped somewhere in the Frieza saga, and then those stupid Z Warrior Prepare episodes only came out on a Burger King thing or something.
Yep.
But that's where I was, and so kind of. I've really embarked, and the Wiki is helping me with this, or I'd started before I started Wikiing, but now I'm doing the Wiki. I've really embarked on experiencing all of Dragon Ball in order, and really dig deep into it, right? Not just, binge watch 6 episodes a day, right? It's about taking each episode, each movie as they come, and really thinking about it. And thank goodness I found the Wiki, because it's really given me an outlet to write up each of these recaps, to look at all the trivia for each episode, to kind of dig deep into each one. And, I got to thank you for that opportunity. I was watching anyway, but man, this has really helped me to focus and develop my fandom. So it's been awesome.
You say that, I feel bad. I kind of want to ask everyone, like, what were you guys doing before you did this? Because everyone's spending a lot of time on this. And I feel like, is everyone have a family that secretly hates me somewhere? Maybe that's happening now.
Well, I don't think they hate you. Those pin cushions over there are completely coincidental, I assure you.
Great. Joe, thank you so much. I love going through this stuff. You have, the last time you were on, we talked about just a couple of the real world references. That's something I want to go back to again, because you have a giant list of them over there. And we'll probably jump back and forth with you between those kinds of topics. It's great. And it's really nice to have these pet projects in addition to like the boring stuff, so to speak. Like, we got to do the episodes, we got to do the movies, and even the stuff that we already have on Kanzenshuu proper. We're just adding to everything that's there. It's good stuff all around.
This has been a great way to really re-engage and actually become more energized around this series. So I've been very happy to do it.
Yeah, more than anything else, this is the kind of thing that has truly reignited my love of the series more than anything else. I really definitely have gone through all these phases in my fandom. And I find it interesting how documentation is the basis for so many of those different steps along the way. You were talking earlier about your spreadsheet for the DVDs and the home video releases. That's literally why I made the home video guide on Kanzenshuu EX back then, because I needed something to keep track of what DVDs were coming out when. Again, the Cell games were the last DVDs to come out to wrap up that home video release. A lot of what I've built has been very selfish and very self-serving for me, and Heath has definitely done the same thing. He did it on Kanzentai with manga guide stuff, and we combined all of that, those years back. I was about to say just a couple of years ago. That is no longer just a couple of years ago. It's horrifying to me, but we do this for ourselves, and we love when other people enjoy it too. So I guess I won't belabor the point that this is a thing that people will get a chance to enjoy and consume at some point in the future, but I hope you're enjoying the teases along the way. So once again, Joe, thank you much for joining us, and we will chat with you again at some point on the podcast here. Thank you.
Well, I look forward to it. Invite me anytime.
Thank you, as always, to Joe. And like he mentioned, everyone who helped him on that specific article and all the things, translating items and double checking the research on things. Great stuff. Really enjoy it. If people want to peek at something, there actually have been some pages from the Wiki public that have been linked in places before. I'll just say, if you go to kanzenshuu.com/wiki/kintoki, maybe there's something there that you can read that I worked on. And since I'm one of the people in charge, I can make things public if I want to, so I can decide what I want people to see. Let's not consider this part of the official soft launch. This is just a I saw bad stuff written out there, and I wanted what we had written to be available to people. So there you go. Maybe you can get a little bit of an idea of the kind of stuff that we're doing, the kind of research we're doing, kind of documentation and citations that go alongside all of that stuff. Formatting is still up in the air. We're pretty solid on how we want things to look, but still some changes and some adjustments that can and will be made prior to any kind of soft or hard launch on that. That's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed everything you heard here on the show. Not sure when I'll talk to you next time. Things have quiet but crazily quiet. I guess that's a good way to put it around these parts here at Kanzenshuu. So I'll just leave it at www.kanzenshuu.com. That is kanzenshuu.com. You can find us there on the website, find us on the social medias, all that jazz. So I have been Mike. You may see me around Vegito EX. Thank you to Joe and for all of our lovely administrators, and then the wiki contributors and moderators and all that good stuff. Thank you much. We will see you next time. Have a lovely day, a lovely week. Thanks. See you.